Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Jana Talk podcast. I have an absolute pleasure to welcome you in this special episode because we will be talking about something truly important. Do you know the feeling when you focus on your duties, on your everyday life, what you have to do, but you a little bit forget about yourself, about your dreams, about what you wish in your life? Today's episode will be how to awaken your power, how to awaken your dreams and make them come true. And I'm truly happy to welcome here my today's guest, Stefanie Goertz, a special horse coach, also project coordinator in University of Potsdam, and also bridge builder between two countries, Guatemala and Germany, because he's half German and half Guatemalan. Please welcome Stefanie. Hello, Steffi.
Hi, Jana. Thanks for having me. So nice to see you.
I'm happy that you are here. Thank you very much for your time. We know each other for some time. It's now more, I think, around 1 year, right? Something like this. And
Yeah.
I have to say that when as I know you, it has been really a huge change in you or inside of you because you have really truly awakened your power. You have started to do what you wished for in your life. You follow your dreams. So tell me what happened in this special year that you started to do these changes in your life.
Wow, Jana, where to start? Good question. It has been a very transformative year, and I am so honored that you asked me to talk to you on your podcast. And when I look back, like 1 year from now, I would totally have said no, because no, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. And when you asked me 2 weeks ago, I was like, yes, I'm ready. I feel like this is my place to be. And I would say I am a very different person today than a year ago. And yes, I think the main reason is because I finally had the courage to step out of my comfort zone, really, and to start living a life that is in line with my values, and to start living a life that it feels like integrity to me. So, and I was also thinking, what am I gonna tell your audience? Because I'm usually you hear the stories from people who have already made it to the end, and they look back and reflect on their journey. But I thought it's also nice to hear from somebody who is still on the journey and still like having struggled sometimes and back and forth. And so, yeah, so I thought this is also a good perspective
Yeah.
to see that we're all in the same boat and that we're all in this together on this journey.
Absolutely, what you have mentioned, it's I think what happens to everybody, definitely in life, that we focus really, as I have mentioned at the beginning, at work, on our duties, every daily activities, what we have to do, and we kind of forgot or forget what we wished for when we were kids, or what we wished for when just because we were full of duties and activities in our heads, and everything else probably had the how to say it, like was forward, but we got a little bit back. So
Yeah.
that's why I really admire, and why I am happy that you are today here, because I really saw a huge difference in you when I saw you again in Spain, and it was such a huge difference, and especially after Spain, it was like awakening power, and what you sent me, the messages, how you stopped worrying and being afraid, and that's something I would like to talk about more deeper, because I truly believe that this is a topic for really many people, and this can help. So it would be great if we can today talk about how you felt before, where you were in the stage before you awakened the power, let's say, or your inner self, and where you are now, and how you transformed the thinking. What did you make differently?
Hmm.
But before we stepped into it, you are half German and half Guatemalan.
Yes, I am.
How do you feel to be part of two such different but beautiful countries?
Yes, so my dad is German and my mom is Guatemalan, and they met in Latin America, where my dad moved to when he was still very young. And so I was born in beautiful Guatemala City, but my time there was pretty short in my childhood because when I was 4, my parents divorced, and well, it was decided that I moved to Germany with my dad. Um, so yeah, that was the first big challenge or shift for me in my life, I would say, because up to then I only spoke Spanish and I was only used to Latin America. And all of a sudden, I moved from this chaotic and sunny city to like a gray town in the west of Germany. And all of a sudden, my dad was the only person I could talk to because he spoke Spanish and nobody else did. And so, yeah, that was. I don't remember so much of it, but I think it was also part of like the coping mechanism. But the moment I was speaking German, my dad said, "Okay, now we can speak Spanish again," and then I had forgotten everything,
Oh,
and it's kind of like I did lose my mother tongue, and I kind of felt like a part of me shut down, and I could not really express myself anymore. And I became a very shy and yeah, very shy girl to be honest, and something silenced inside of me. Mm, yeah, so that was the early years in the transition from Guatemala to Germany. Um, and yeah, so you were asking me how it was between those two cultures, right?
yeah.
The thing is, I didn't feel like I was growing up between two cultures because my dad never really talked about it. He was like, um, he thought, yeah, it's easier for her if she is totally immersed in the German culture and if she isn't always reminded of Guatemala. So I felt like I wasn't torn between two cultures. But I felt like I was cut off from one culture, and especially in my teenage years. Well, I guess you remember how it was. You have an identity crisis and all sorts of questions. This was very difficult for me because I felt like I don't know 50% of myself, and there's nobody to talk to about it because I also wasn't in touch with my mom anymore, and I felt like very lost in that time because I was cut off from one part of me, one of my two cultures. And so I later in life I regained my connection to my roots. Yes.
It had to be very difficult for you to have completely no touch with your mom, especially like in such really young age. You moved at when you were four sorry, you moved when you were 4 years old, right? Something like this.
Yes.
That's very early. It had to be difficult for you. Yeah,
Yes, for me
yeah.
it was my normal life, the new normal.
Mhm.
And but I did feel it being difficult because I was, for example, in my class, I was the funny thing is also when I was living in Guatemala, I was blonde, and then my hair turned super dark, and I
Really?
had almost black hair in school, and I was always like the odd one. I was the odd one with the super dark hair, the one who was growing up with a single dad. In parts of my elementary school, I was also living with with another family because my dad was traveling a lot. So I always felt like I don't belong, and that I don't really know where to, yeah, where I belong. That was the feeling I remember from those days. Yes.
I think it's difficult when especially in such young age, kids have these feelings. Like for example, when also their parents they divorce, so they go divorce and they don't visit each other. It must be difficult, and especially when you are in a foreign country abroad with like different culture. um, I can imagine that Guatemala is like more about relationships. It's more open, more friendly. And Germany could be for somebody coming from Guatemala a little bit stricter, colder maybe in relationships. People are definitely warm when they open up, but the beginning is it takes longer time. So this also had to be a big contrast. I don't know if you what do you think about it?
Yes, a lot of the stereotypes are right, or there's something about
Mhm.
them. Yeah, so I always, as I said, I always grew up wondering how how it would be in how it is in Guatemala, how is my other half. But I never had the courage to really go and see and find out until my early 20s. I think I was 23. In the meantime, I had kind of established a bit of a contact with my mom with the help of my best friend. Back then she was Spanish and she helped me translate. It was very interesting, and it was really good to have her by my side. And when I established this contact with my mom, and but yeah, growing up I did not know how Latin America is or how Guatemala is. And then I went there when I was 23, and I absolutely fell in love with this country. um, yeah, I was super nervous. That was definitely a big step out of my comfort zone. And because it was the first time I would meet my mom for the first time since I left. And I didn't know any, I was scared because you heard a lot of things about Latin America and how it's dangerous and everything. And also, yeah, also this unknown side of me. I was like terrified. But my family, you were mentioning family concept of being a bit different. They welcomed me, even though some of them I had never met, or they only remembered me when I was a baby, and I immediately felt part of them, and they were so supportive and so helpful. And they showed me, I stayed for 3 months, and they helped me finding an internship, and they showed me the whole country. They traveled with me, and they really put a lot of emphasis on that I get to know myself better and the country in Guatemala. And yes, so it is a very big contrast from Germany. The colors, and it's more alive, and the people are super friendly and helpful. And this is one thing that's really, I was there in March and April this year, and I really remember that again, how much of a difference it makes when you're surrounded by friendly people who really care about the collective and not just about the individualism, which is more here. Of course, here you can have amazing connections with friends and family, but in the public with strangers, it's often a bit more
Yeah.
rough and cold, and people are more focused on themselves. And for example, I remember when on my last trip to Guatemala, I missed my bus, a shuttle. I wanted to go to my next destination, and they were like, it was kind of impossible to go there. And all of a sudden, there were like 5 people supporting me, calling people, offering me their space at home, like a space to stay, and trying everything to help me solve the problem. And they were strangers like a few minutes ago. And it actually worked out. The shuttle driver returned, even though his shift had ended, and even though it was my fault that I missed the bus. And he was like smiling and saying, "Yes, I'm here." And yeah, I felt like so supported. And yeah, it is really a difference from the day-to-day life here in Germany, where you are usually like, here they would have said, okay, yeah, you missed the bus, so it's your fault, figure it out. And it is also, it's very different. But back to when I first came to Guatemala when I was 23, I was really also not liking Germany anymore because of my internal struggles, basically. And then I fell in love with Guatemala, as I said. But I also fell in love in Germany, to be honest, because I was like, my God, and it really opened my eyes how privileged we are here, how it is not the standards to live in a safe environment that, especially as a woman, you can walk around free and feel safe, and you can go out at night, and it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. Even in a big city like Berlin, where I live, it is you feel so much freer and safer. And I really realized how privileged I am. This is what I take home from my first trip there.
Thank you for sharing, and also these differences with your eyes, because I think maybe the awakening started when you were 23 years old. That you when you came back to your origin, like to Guatemala, or to half of the origin, because I think it's important to know each other, where we come from, to know our roots, because it's the base of who we are. So maybe there started this awakening process, and it then took some time just to be awakened. I really liked the differences, how you described it, and also how you said how privileged we are to live where we. I think Czech Republic is similar, like in some conditions, as Germany or Slovakia as well. So with the safety, especially that you can go anywhere and you feel safe. Do you think in Guatemala is there like to be a woman and walk alone, especially after 8 p.m., 9 p.m.? Is it dangerous to be walking alone, a woman?
Yeah, so most of the time I spent in Guatemala City. I had when I went to Guatemala when I was 23, I also not just fell in love with the country, but also with the man. So I spent a lot of time later in Guatemala and lived there for quite a while. And we lived in Guatemala City, and yeah, it is not the safest place in the earth on earth, and the sun sets at around 6 p.m. every day. Mm, I it's also a city maybe like more like the American style, where you need a car, and public transport in the city is far too dangerous to take. When you open the newspapers, there's always, okay, uh, this is how many people were murdered yesterday, and like the fear is always living, or was always living with me, because I was not used to that at all, that you really have to um, be aware of your surroundings and the time of the day, and if it's dark, and that you really have to like lock your car from inside when you drive around, and if possible avoid driving by yourself at night when you're a woman. Some people even said that don't stop at a red traffic light, that because they will kidnap you. And so was a constantly on my mind, this fear. So Guatemala City, it is beautiful. It's surrounded by volcanoes, and the weather is amazing, and there are amazing restaurants and bars and museums. But yeah, you have to know where not to go and what not to do, and you have to, yeah, listen to the locals. Yes.
So when we speak about I think it's whenever and well, any time when we travel abroad, we need to be careful, because
Yeah.
we don't know the like rules. So it's better to not to look as a tourist, and to feel inside the environment. But it's great that you are like a tour guide, that you can also tell us some most important and most interesting things about like Guatemala. So it's, and also I believe that this will be one of your future missions, maybe, to explore Guatemala, right, more, right, to show it to people more. Oh my
I would
God.
love to.
Mhm.
It's just such a special, it has such a special place in my heart. And when I was traveling recently, I met so many people who were traveling, starting from Mexico, even Canada, and traveling all the way south to South America. And so Guatemala was just a stop on their list. But I met so many people who said, "Oh yeah, I was just planning to stay for a few days, and I'm here 3 months later because it's so incredibly beautiful, and it uh, stole my heart, and it's still like a kind of." I would say, I mean, there's a lot of tourism, but it's still more one of those places who are not on the top of the list of so many people. So there's still a lot of authentic nature and culture, and I love that I have the volcanoes and the lake and the ocean and the different climate zones. And also, what is super special about Guatemala, there's still this thriving Mayan culture. Um, so there are the Latinos, the descendants from the Spanish, and the Mayans, the indigenous people, and they still live their culture, not like fully. Like they are adapting to the society that is there now, but they still speak their languages. They still have their traditions. Languages that are totally different from Spanish or anything we have ever heard here in Europe. And they have their outfits and their crafts and their weaving techniques. So like each village has its own colors for the dresses, and they all make it themselves. It's really a lot of work, and it is art. And I would love to show this to the people, that people get to know this part of the world, to also that this craft stays alive, and that they can get the respect they deserve for their culture and their strength, and what, because it is a tough life. They're having a tough life over there. Um, and I would be amazing to support them, because they are, I'm just always amazed by how they're dealing with all their difficulties, um, and how they are living their art and being friendly as they are. And so I would love to show this to to the world,
Yeah,
basically. Yes.
I'm looking forward to your future projects. Because, I'm sure that you will come up with very soon with nice projects about Guatemala. Do you want to share something now or later? Do you have already? Do you want to share something about your future projects with the viewers?
Oh, yeah, we were brainstorming a few ideas, and I am still on my way to figuring it out, but it would be like, if I could vision my ideal life, I would love to spend a few months, obviously the winter month in Guatemala, and the other month here in Germany or in Europe, because I also really love Europe. And to connect these parts, that would be like a dream come true. And I have different ideas and things I could think of, but my goal would definitely be to support the locals, to especially women, the Mayan women or Mayan children also, because it is, yeah, as I said, they're living a tough life, and if somehow I could be do a little kind of change there while also inspiring people here, that would be amazing. And I'm still trying to figure out how to do it, but I know there will be a way.
I'm sure that you will come very soon with the ideas and you will make it true. When you mentioned the winter time in Guatemala, that you would like to spend more time because I believe it will be nicer weather there. What's the temperature like, or what's the weather like during winter time compared to Germany or middle Europe in winter?
Yeah, so Guatemala is known as the country of the eternal spring.
Mm.
So that means Actually, it's a very small country with different climate zones, but Guatemala City or Antigua, which is a beautiful place with a colonial style house, is very colorful and yeah, beautiful. So in this area, this is my favorite zone. It's the eternal spring, like 25 degrees. And they don't have the four seasons that we have. They have the winter, no, rainy season and the dry season. So our winter is the dry season, and now is the rainy season, which is also nice because this is how it keeps green and colorful and lush. But so it's also good to visit now. But yes, our winters here is a perfect time over there because it's yeah, 25 degrees. Or if you go to the beach, it's 35 degrees. Or there are also some areas that are with a much milder climate zone that it looks a little bit like Switzerland and feels a bit like Switzerland temperature wise. So yeah, it's you can have everything there, all the climate zones. But yes, I love it because it's the spring, the eternal spring country.
Eternal spring sounds really wonderful because usually when I speak to my friends or people who I know, the most favorite season during the whole year is always spring, and
Yes.
everybody says it because it's not too hot, it's not cold, and you see the flowers, the plants blooming, and it's also so beautiful. So spring, eternal spring sounds to me really wonderful.
It is. Let's go.
Yeah, what would you say? What are the like top five things people should see or see in Guatemala when they are there?
Oh, okay. Top five things. For first timers, I would definitely recommend Antigua, which is this the older capital actually. Before Guatemala City became the capital, there was an earthquake and it was like all destroyed. But now it is rebuilt and it is beautiful. It has cobblestones and the colonial style houses, different colors. It has amazing cafes and restaurants and rooftop terraces and surrounded by volcanoes. This is I would that this is a must do, and also my favorite place. I would actually say in the world is Lake Atitlan. It is a huge lake, also surrounded by volcanoes, and also there you can really feel the indigenous culture still alive. It is surrounded by little pueblos, like towns, with different Mayan cultures, and each town also has a very different vibe. But for example, one of them is a hippie town, but I don't know, it's not for everybody. But the lake is spectacular, and when I was there earlier this year, I was sitting at the shore and I was just by myself, and I felt so tiny because the dimension of the lake and the volcano and the sky and all these shades of blue were so enormous, and I felt like part of a tiny part of something so much bigger. I feel so connected to something so much bigger. I don't usually have this feeling here in Germany, but there I often have this feeling. So yeah, Lake Atitlan and Tikal, which is the old Mayan city in the middle of the jungle. You can still go up to the ruins and view the jungle from the top. So you have the jungle below, and I went on to see the sunrise and sunset, and it is spectacular when you feel the jungle getting waking up, and you hear all the jungle sounds and the birds flying like they hear the monkeys and toucans flying around, and it's also very spectacular. And there's also when I had this feeling, oh yeah, this world is so much bigger than I always here in Berlin. I'm always so focused on myself, and I'm like, oh God, why am I so stressed out with myself while I'm only just this tiny little part of this amazing, beautiful world that is so much bigger than just me. So it brings you out of your little box basically, because the dimensions are so different. What else? There. endless other things to do. Like I love Simuk Champai, which is like a river, but consists of natural pools, one by the other,
Wow.
crystal
Mhm.
clear water, and yeah, just a series of natural pools. And I also like the beach. It's not the most spectacular beach. Like the longest beach is the Pacific. It's black because of the volcanoes. But it's very a relaxed vibe, and there it's very hot. It's perfect beach weather, and it's a very relaxed vibe, and just to chill. And there's also a spot where you can go surfing, but it's very chill and relaxed.
Lovely. Thank you very much for these tips. You mentioned the beautiful lakes. Is it possible to swim in the lakes, or are there alligators, or is it safe to swim inside?
Some parts, yes. Some parts
Mhm.
are very clean. The lake has struggled with a lot of pollution, unfortunately. It's and you see that when you go visit, then you will see the people using the lake as their bathroom. They go there to take a shower and wash their clothes and really yeah, it's their bathroom. It's nicer than their bathroom at home, and um yeah, it's a nice feeling to be outside and just spend your time in the lake. But the down part of it is that it gets polluted easily, or it is yeah, not the sometimes not the cleanest, and some parts are not really recommended to swim there. Some people do. I didn't, because I was like I didn't want to get sick, to be honest. But there's this natural reserve where it is totally fine to go swimming. I unfortunately I didn't make it this time, but you can see people jumping from the cliffs, and just yeah, it's really amazing. And then yeah, it's surrounded by volcanoes, and yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, it sounds so wonderful. Like a fairy tale, because when I see some lake or I have to just go swimming. It's
Yes, you can go swimming there.
good to
And you
know.
can do stand-up paddling, and oh, they also have the public transport are these little boats, and you cross from one town to the other by these
Oh,
boats. And sometimes the waves are so hard and they go really fast, so you really bump on but it's so much fun. I love it. It's yeah, it's a fun journey and fun
that's good.
public transportation.
Public concert on the lake or on the water.
Yes.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Well, I also know that important part of your life, which also helped to the awakening process, let's call it awakening process, are also horses, because they are a big part of Guatemala, and they were your big part also in Germany. Could you tell
Hmm.
us more about this?
Yes, perfect. So actually, they were not a big part of my life in Guatemala, but I remember uh, from when I was my first 4 years living there, my dad always told me that I was already so connected to animals. We had a dog. I loved to just hang out with the dog, and I played with goats and like all sorts of animals. But wasn't until I came to Germany, which I really appreciate, that I found my love for horses here. Here they are treated differently than in Guatemala or other parts of Latin America and in the world. Here they're more pets and family members. And you can also see that the horses here are more people orientated than over there. Over there, they're they have a very tough life, so they don't care about cuddling and like yeah, so yeah. So I discovered my love for horses here in Germany, and it was my intuition. Well, we talked a bit about it was a bit hard in my early years,
Yeah.
and my luck was that I grew up in an area of Germany where there are lots and lots of horses close to the Dutch border. And my intuition when I was struggling was to go to just be with horses. I went to just the meadows where they were outside and eating grass. And I was just sitting down and I felt like, okay, this is so relaxing. And I felt like so much better. Mm, I didn't know it back then, but horses have a little bit of a slower heart race. So when we are with horses, we our heart rate adapts a bit, so ours becomes a bit slower too, and this is what makes us relax so much. And I didn't have the words for it back then, but I just felt like, oh, this is so calming. The noises of the horses and their smell and touching them, I could really like they gave me stability, like physical stability and emotional stability. So and they didn't care about my dark hair or that I grew up with a single dad or that I was living with a foster family for a while. They just read my energy and that I was like I had good intentions, and so this really helped me. Their presence and mm, their non-judgmental way really helped me to feel supported in these difficult times. Yes.
You mentioned also that you were in a foster family, because that was probably because your father was traveling a lot, right?
Yeah.
So that also was, I would say, also big, had to be a big shock also for a kid, like totally different family. But the horses, the way how you described it, it had to be really pleasant. Um, Currently, you are also certified horse coach,
Mm-hmm.
horse coach. So
Yeah.
horses really are a huge part of your life. What would you say? What can we learn from horses?
Hmm. Mm, so yeah, I was never interested in riding horses, just being their friend and being with them. And I think we can learn so much from horses in terms of being our authentic self, because horses, they are masters of reading body languages and reading your energy basically, and not because they're like so spiritual or because it's all woo-woo, but they are prey animals and they need to, in the wild, they need that to survive. So being prey animals, they are the ones who get eaten, and they need to, in the wild, they need to be able to figure out, like, let's say, if the lion who is lying over there, is he hungry or is he just chilling? So they have this absolute expertise about reading um, the micro gestures and micro expressions and the heart rates, and they can also read us because we are also predators in some way. Well, they can also read. They are experts in non-verbal communication because they also read us, and because they need it for survival. So, having said that, with a horse, you cannot fake anything. They are not polite. They don't say something to you just for being polite. They show you. For example, horses are often worked with in leadership trainings. So they show you if you really have inner leadership skills, if you can have the horse follow you because you really have it in you, because in the wild, in the herds, they also have leadership horses who other horses tend to look to and orient with. So they recognize a leader, and if you have it in you or not, the horse will show you, and they will not sugarcoat it, which is often a bit difficult to swallow. But it also gives you the opportunity to grow, because this is feedback that probably if you're a boss in a company, probably feedback that you will not get from your team. And it is also always non-judgmental because they don't judge, they just react to your energy. So we can learn a lot from that. And I also learned, still learning. I mean, it's a lifelong journey, but I remember last year I went to Bosnia Herzegovina, and we were hiking with wild herds of horses, and it was incredible. we were hiking for a few days, and usually the horses stayed. They noticed us, but they stayed away from us. And then all of a sudden, one day, like a third day, I think, there was this young stallion who was approaching me. And I was like, first I was nervous because they can get dangerous too, and they want to defend their family and they can get dangerous. But I realized that he's just being curious. And so I also calmed down a bit, and then we were just walking side by side. He didn't leave my side, but he was very aware when I did an abrupt something abrupt with my hand. He was like shivering, but then he was again staying and still trying to keep up, or not keep up with it. He was still trying to build the confidence, because I was thinking maybe this is the first time he is so close to a human, and he was being very brave. And I also realized that it's the first time for me that I'm with a being that is so truly free and wild. And he could have run off any second, but he stayed with me. It was so touching. And also this wild spirit, like
Wow.
when he was standing and like looking at the surroundings, and it was really impressive. And I was thinking, yeah, this is why we admire horses, because they are wild and free, but then we put them into boxes because it's more comfortable for us, and they disconnect from their
Nature.
essence, because usually they travel for 10 to 30 kilometers per day, and here they do not get this exercise. They only some still live in these boxes. They don't. Some live by themselves and not with their family, so they're disconnected. And they also and I was thinking we are doing this what we are also doing to ourselves, because we are also often very disconnected from ourselves in the modern life. We are choosing comfort, and yeah, this is maybe more comfortable, but we are also getting more and more disconnected from ourselves. This is something that stayed with me from this trip with the wild horses. It was really impressive.
Like the connection, as you have mentioned, that we do it also to ourselves in our
Yes.
lives. That we prefer, let's say, the comfort, but we forget about our roots or about the essence. Um, when you were describing the horse, how was the feeling to go along with the horse together with the wild horse? He doesn't have any master or
Yes, it was very touching, because I knew that because there were also other humans, so I was not like walking by myself, we were a group, and he chose me. It was so special because he didn't have to choose any of us humans. The wild horses, they don't need us. They are healthy and happy and, yeah, thriving in the wild. But he was curious about me, and this felt amazing, because he was choosing my energy. I could not have forced him to do this with me, but he chose me, and I felt seen. And this is what we want, right? We humans also want to be seen, and we want to feel that somebody's curious about us, and that they're with us voluntarily. So what I want from humans basically is what I experienced with this horse. And this is also where horse assisted coaching is the opportunity, not only with wild horses, but also with our pet horses. They can also give us some experiences that we can take home, or that we like to do in the human world, and then we realize how it feels, make this experience, and it's easier to transport it back to the human world. So there's a lot of opportunity in horse assisted coaching, because they are being so real and authentic, and yeah, you I would yeah that
okay, amazing. Thank you for sharing this. You also organized, or you are still organizing, the courses for kids with horses, right? For better communication, for improving the skills. I remember we talked about it almost a year ago about these courses.
Oh, yes. No, so far I have not worked with kids yet. I'm in a board member of
Yes.
how is it called? A foundation that supports retired school horses because they helped me so much. The horses in my life always helped me so much in difficult times. So I want to give back. So this is basically donating my time and energy to them because they deserve a good life after they retire from work. But I did what I've been working with adults so far, and there are different forms of horse assisted coaching. The one I learned is a one-on-one. And so we start with, and you don't need any expertise, any knowledge about horses. So I can give you one example, which of my client Mel. She arrived, and she did not have any knowledge of horses, and so we talked a bit so she calms down and is less nervous. And when she was ready to enter the arena, she was trying to establish a connection with the horse, and she had different tools like a ball, a frisbee, a boomerang, stuff like that. And she was trying different things, strategies to build a connection and make the horse interested in her. But the horse was not interested at all. He was just staying there, eating some grass, didn't care at all what she was trying to do. And my role as a coach is to ask questions or to observe and ask questions. How does it feel? What kind of feelings does it trigger in you? Does it remind you of situations outside of this situation in the day-to-day life? And the longer we talked, she decided, okay, I'm gonna focus more on myself now, and I'm just gonna do what I feel like. I know I'm not the entertainer of a horse. I am me. And so she started to play with the ball and had some fun and joy and really felt herself and didn't care about what others think. And in that moment, everything changed when she was truly being herself. The moment was it was so amazing. The horse raised his head, walked away from the grass, and went to see her and what she's doing, and did not move away from her in this session anymore, because she was all of a sudden she had her own presence. She had found her own presence, and this is what made her interesting to the horse. And we in the end we wrap it all up, and she came to the conclusion that in interaction with humans, she also has a tendency, especially in a new environment, she has a tendency to see how is everybody else, how can I adapt, how can I fit in, what do I have to do, instead of focusing on herself. And so this is for all of us who are people pleasers. We can learn from horses that the people pleasing is not what makes us charismatic or authentic or interesting. It's being our true self without the detour about what do they think, what do I have to do. Being our true self is what makes us interesting and charismatic.
I'm happy that you have just mentioned it, because this is also, I believe, another piece which helped you to step into your power, the work with the horses, to be coach and to help other people to find their inner, well, authenticity, maybe then inner power, authenticity, to step inside of this, to be their true self, because the horses feel it, whatever they think or do. I remember once when I was much, much, much younger, I was in the middle of a field where there were plenty of horses, and oh my God, horses, hi! I was so happy because I love animals. And they started to run to me because they were happy to see me too. And then I started to be afraid because they were so close to me, and I didn't know what to do. I was so scared. Before it was like, hi, 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 horses. And then I wanted to disappear when they were close to me because it was like such a strange feeling. So with the horses, I can imagine that people can get really amazing lessons because what appears in one area of our life, what we heard from many videos, many tutors, many teachers, appears or tend to appear in all other areas of our life. So I believe that
Yes.
if you help people with the horses in one specific topic, it will definitely help them in their life to, I don't know, not to be afraid, to be authentic,
Yes.
and so on.
Yes. Hmm. This is what I love about it. It's just, yeah, it is. They are also very, yeah, very spiritual teachers basically, and
Yeah.
they give you the real life experience. Like in we only with this client, and we only worked for 1 hour, and she made this experience. What does it feel like if I am my authentic me, and how does it feel for me, and how does the other world react to me when I'm being my authentic self? And this is so hard to make this experience because we all want this experience, right? But it's so hard to do this in a setting with a like a human coach, let's say, or with a friend, because yeah, because they react different, because we talk and the reactions are differently, and not it's harder to make this experience in 1 hour in the human world, just because you have the intention to do so, because we are trained. We also have our intuition, and can also read people, but we are also a bit like trained to be more polite and tend to say what is expected. So and horses don't do that. So to make this experience in within 1 hour is something that is very hard to make with humans.
I think it's incredible what you do, because anybody from any part of the world can visit you like this, to have a lesson with you and the horses, and to find out. Because when I remember myself being among the horses, the feeling how I was happy, and then I was like scared. Oh my God! Now they are by me. What to do?
Yes.
What to do? So I think it's really great mirror what we have in our lives, and we, like a shock, you immediately, like jumping into the water, you immediately find out what you are attracting to your world, or to your world, because how you are behaving, or what, I don't know, posture or gesture, what you do, what impact does it have to the outer world. And these horses can reflect it very easily, even if we do
Hmm.
not realize it, like technically, because they are horses, but they are actually amazing mirror for us.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And you also mentioned, Steffi, very good thing. You mentioned, regarding the horses, that they are really true, that they are not so polite. It reminds me, kids are like children,
Mm.
that they are also not polite. They
Yes.
say anything. Well, for example, when they are sitting in the queue with their mothers, they say, if they don't like somebody, that this man or this woman is strange or doesn't smell nice or anything. And
Yes.
even it's embarrassing, everybody knows it's true, but nobody says it loud. But the kids said it also, like,
Yeah. This is before we got all the conditions from society. We are also
yeah,
very connected to ourselves, and also what kids and horses or other animals have in common, they are not afraid of their emotions. There are no good and bad emotions. They one moment they cry, but they really feel the emotion, and then it's over. And then the next moment they laugh, and then it's over again. And then they're sad, and they live through the emotions. And we as adults, we tend to push away like non-popular emotions like fear or anger. But it's stacking up, and one day it's exploding or imploding. And horses, if they have the possibility to live their emotions, because unfortunately not all of them do. That's another story. But they also work through the emotion. Then they just shiver, and that's also what kids do, like a body shake, and then live it through the body, and then it's gone, and it's not stuck. This energy is not stuck.
Like what you had mentioned, I was doing notes that the energy is not stuck and that they shake it off. That's also, I remember what we did in the 6:15 exercise every morning.
Yes,
with
exactly.
But it was so cool, like to shake it off, everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's actually true. We don't realize it that this movement or moving, the body moving process is important to shake off the stress and get the body feel better, and also
Yes.
will be like soul as well.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking now that you were asking me 1 year ago from now, I was in this state where a lot of stuck energy was like not going out, and like I was feeling very disconnected because I was not living this like, let's say, authentic life. I was in a relationship that was I was not really happy anymore, but it was very my ex-boyfriend, he's an amazing guy, he's a very good guy, and it was a very comfortable and nice situation, but I was not happy, not because he's not a good guy, but because we were just not a good fit and not a good match. And yes, I was feeling more and more unhappy with the situation, and it also showed in other areas of my life. I was feeling more and more numb because I felt like my emotions cannot go out, and I should suppress my emotions. I should be happy with what I have, and I was trying to work on it, but at some point I realized we are not the best match, and it was because it was a comfortable situation, very nice and known and familiar situation. It was like one of the hardest decisions ever in my life to leave and to really embrace the unknown, because I mean, being single again after all this time in Berlin, which is notorious and very known for being a tough place for dating, was so scary, and still is scary, to be honest. But as you say, I had a lot of feedback that I started glowing, and that I felt I have this other different energy because I did what felt right and not what was easy. And I kind of had to get used to living with this fear and this discomfort, and I lost a lot of things, but I also won a lot of things. I won back my integrity and my self-worth, because I was thinking I'm not doing him a favor and I'm not doing myself a favor, and I was not feeling well with this, and like my heart broke. But it sounds very kitschy and very pathetic, but it is really when it opened, because I always was like hiding sides of me to other people, but I couldn't hide anymore because I was a mess. I was like a total mess, and I just couldn't hide anymore. And so I talked to people, I talked to friends and family, and also sometimes to strangers, and the reactions I had were so mind-blowing, and I was always so afraid of showing my weaker sides, and I thought that would pull people away from me. But the opposite happened. I have my connection so much deepened, and I'm really in awe of the connections I made, and the conversations I had, and how I really connected to humans, which was always difficult for me, to be honest. I always preferred animals. But I'm really amazed by this, and I also like how this different energy attracts so many more opportunities, like this opportunity that you invited me to the podcast, or different kind of people in my life. And I also learned how to ask for help. I did not want to, and I did not know how to. I also realized that I can handle tough times because I had this strategy from my childhood that I don't want to bother anybody, that I should hide, that I cannot risk anything because I felt so lonely and by myself. But now I know that I can handle the more difficult stuff, and that I can also go do the risky things, and I can handle it, and that I'm not alone. So yeah, so many good things happened from a very, very difficult decision and a very rough time in my life. And it's still rough and tough sometimes and scary, but I think I'm on the correct path. Yes.
Amazing. You have mentioned many things. Make notes not to forget it. But I think one of the most important parts, what you did, and what has strengthened you inside, was to make the difficult decision of breaking up with your previous partner, even you were with him long time, because you knew it's the right thing to do, not comfortable thing, but the right thing. And actually, you did a good service not only to you but also to him, because you can find
Yes.
the happiness, or you could find the happiness, and also him. I think nowadays many people live in not the best relationship because they feel safe being with somebody, and they are inside, they are a little bit afraid of being alone, like by themselves, and not with somebody, even they don't love it as much as they did, for example, at the beginning when they got together. And so I think this is also a great example, when you do the true decision from yourself, you step into your power, and then things start to happen that even you feel after the breakup as a mess. It's only time, and then you feel better and better. And also, you said that you started to open up and speak to different people, which you didn't definitely speak to in the past. So this is also great that you started to attract different people, different opportunities to yourself, because you started to see it with different eyes.
Yes.
And this huge change, it happened during this year, because I remember when I saw you in, I don't know if it was in Germany or in Amsterdam, when I was there. I think it was Amsterdam, right? No, Germany. It was in Munich.
Oh yeah.
I remember when we spoke, and I knew that you are solving something difficult. It was just obvious that there is like something with the relationship that time. It was for me obvious, but we didn't get into that detail. But I definitely saw a huge change when I saw you back in Spain this year.
Wow.
And it was like, I observed on you that you were like a flower, like started to bloom, like internal. I don't know. I don't see light around people or auras definitely, but I see that your inner self started to bloom, and you were like a completely different person in those few
Thank
months.
you.
It, a huge change, really. So,
Thank you.
what are your tips for people to step into their authenticity and into their power, whatever they are solving, whatever hard situation they are in? What would be your recommendations to them?
Hmm. It's a good question because it is not so easy. It took me a long time, and yeah, as I said, I'm still trying to figure out things. But I would say, first of all, it's important to get back to your own intuition and to your own, like to get away from the distractions and really find out what's important to yourself. So, as many probably also on this podcast I've already said, is finding stillness and maybe journaling, meditation, really not being afraid of going into this deeper stuff, also in this darker stuff, not to be afraid of it, because we can only benefit from it if we tackle these issues, because they are there.
Yeah,
I mean,
they cannot hide their inside.
yeah, I mean, we're trying to hide them, but it makes life more difficult, and we are living a less authentic life. And then at some point, I guess you have to decide if you want to live a comfortable and safe life, which is also, it has a lot of benefits. I'm not blaming anybody who choosing this path, because I did that for a long time, and the world is crazy outside, and we are longing for stability and safety. And yeah, I'm not blaming anybody who is choosing this path, but I would recommend to really be aware of this decision, to really intentionally decide this path, or decide for the other path, and yeah, take difficult decisions and learn on how to live with discomfort and insecurity and fear, because both paths have you for both paths you have a price to pay. Yeah. And yeah, so I would definitely say become clear of which path is the one for you, and choose this intentionally, and not look back in 20 years and say, oh, I chose the safe path, and now I am so stuck, and a lot of opportunities missed because I couldn't even see them because I was living in my comfort zone. Or yeah, as I said, I'm not blaming anybody who in these times choose the safe path.
Yeah.
It's totally understandable.
I totally I'm with you regarding the story, because once I was like also it's a longer time ago, so the journey is like long ago, but I was on a similar journey that after 11 years I also broke up with my previous partner, and I knew I have to do it, and it was like very difficult decision to take. It took me 1 year to almost to discover by myself that I need to do this change. So it took me a really long time. And that's, I think, it's what you have mentioned, to listen to ourselves, to not to stay in the golden cage if you have everything, but to do whatever you inside wish for, or you need to do. Even it's totally uncomfortable, and you know that you will feel like a shit the few next months, but definitely it's worth it, because then later you will know that it's the best, one of the best decisions you have made, even you don't feel immediately after it like this. So it's really concrete, amazing example. What also pushed you forward, exactly you, Steffi, that you feel that you have gone through this huge change in your life, and that you do now things which you believe are right for you, and you are more authentic self. After Spain, I also know that you started to step more out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And tell me more about this feeling, because like before and now, what has changed inside of you? How did you strengthen your inner self to now do more the things which you in the past would be afraid of, but now you do it because you want to do it, or you believe that it's the right way to do it?
Mm. Yes. So I realized that this tendency to hide myself from the world and to not showing myself is definitely holding me back. And for a long time, it was good because I had an easy life, and it was I had the strategy to protect myself, right? Because I didn't want more pain or more failure. But we did so many hard things in Spain, and I realized I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm done with hiding and with not believing in me, and that not trusting myself that I cannot do things, and that I'm capable of so much more than I was even trying before. And but yeah, I just had this feeling and this intuition telling me that this is over, but I didn't know how to, because if you have like years and years of the same patterns, it's hard to just let them go, of course, because there's so much in your body, really. So, but I again, yeah, I listened to my intuition because my friend was she was organizing a storytelling event on in a festival, and she was looking for speakers. And I was like, okay, I want to speak. I didn't even know what to talk about. And I was like, okay, what's happening? But it felt so right. So intuition comes to people differently. For me, it's just this knowing. Other people, they see things or hear voices. But for me, it's like knowing. And I was like, yeah, this is the way to do. And I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to talk. So I did. And it was really a milestone because this would have been impossible even a year ago from now, and especially in my younger version. And yeah, I wanted to get used to the feeling of being seen. So I sent it to different people that my friend recorded me, which is also, I would not have allowed that a year ago. But she recorded me, and I wanted to get used to the feeling of being seen. I sent it to a few people, including you, and you surprised me, right? You surprised me by saying, "Yeah, I want to invite you to my podcast." And my first reaction also would have been, "No, I'm not going." But I said yes. And even though, what changed is that I'm not trying to avoid situations that are scary and that where I have to be confronted with my fear, but to take my fear with me and do it anyway and say yes. And also, I remember one other thing where I showed up, and because I always was trying to not to fail. So I had a job interview recently, a few weeks ago, and I did not do well. I messed it up, to be honest. But I made the experience that it's okay. It's okay to mess up sometimes, and I'm still alive. Nobody hurt me. I survived. This is
Yes.
also a good experience to have this, what I'm so afraid of, that do have this experience. And yeah, I can deal with it. It's okay. I will survive. And I will just grow from it because I know I did things not so well, and I can just learn from it and do it better next time. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have mentioned incredible things that follow your intuition or listening to your intuition, stepping out of your comfort zone, and that even you are afraid of it, you just do it, or to do whatever you want, even you are afraid because the fear is here anyway. What helps you to listen more to the intuition? Because I think very often we are like deaf to the intuition because we are surrounded by social media, by other people. We don't do time for ourselves. So what helped you to listen more to your inner self, to the voice inside of you?
Yeah. First, I think it's um, important to really carve out time in your busy calendars for yourself to really, yeah, be there for yourself. And I would say we all have our own medicine. For me, it's horses, nature. For others, it might be sports or music or art or like gardening, where we can. For me, it's when I am with horses. The moment I am with them, the inner mind shuts up, and I'm not thinking endless loops of okay, my to-do list and this and that, which is something people try to achieve in yoga and meditation. And for some people it works. For me, it doesn't. I like yoga and meditation, but I still have my mind going on. So I think everybody has his or her own medicine, and it's worth it finding it. And it's usually it works to look what you liked when you were a child, or try different things when you get in the flow, and when you're not when your mind is calm. And this, I think this is when you get into this state more often. You listen to your intuition louder and better.
Great example. Thank you for these tips. Why do you think people are very often inside of inside of their heads that they are full of like fears that they don't listen to their hearts and follow their dreams? Why do you think it's like this?
Hmm. Yeah, so I think fear is it has a bad reputation, but actually it's a good emotion. It
Mhm.
can be a lifesaver, and so we have these fears to protect us. I want to start with saying this because it's fear has a bad reputation, but it's also wants to protect us. And the thing is that we often take or develop strategies that are based on fear and that our fears are nowadays not life-threatening fears where fear is really helpful, but social fears and fears of not being included in a group of friends or colleagues or something like that, or speaking in public. But yeah, the fear just wants to protect us, and I think we should be more gentle with our fears and not try to push it away, but take it, yeah, as I said before, take it with us and start small with small steps. I heard on a podcast recently that, yeah, since so many people are afraid of public speaking, just try public speaking outside of your house. Like if you're talking to the cashier, you're doing public speaking, you're talking to a stranger basically, and step by step, you can write down your successes maybe because we need to train our brain because it focuses so much on the negative usually.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I would always say take the fear with you and not try to push it away because it's just trying to protect us.
Great advice. Thank you for that. I have now for you special questions. Are you ready?
Mm,
A quick question.
yes.
So I will read. So they are very easy, like easy minded. So one of the first questions: what brings you the greatest joy?
The greatest joy. Um, Horses, nature, traveling, getting inspired, and also lately being with people, like talking to people and connecting with people and really getting to know them and seeing what they are dealing with. This is what really inspires me. Yes.
Easy. What do you do when you have stress in your life? How do you get rid of stress?
How do I get rid of stress? Also, thanks to the stressful time lately, I did discover that sports is really helpful, which a lot of people in my past always told me. I never like listened to them, but now I really know I made the experience how good it is in stressful times to work out.
Exercise, you mean like workout?
Yeah,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
yeah, workout,
What
sports.
type of exercise do you do?
For me, what helped most was boxing. I
Boxing.
started that after our trip to Spain, and cycling, like what's it called, like the indoor cycling,
Oh, spinning. I love it.
spinning. Yeah,
Yeah.
spinning. Yes,
When we
this is
speak
what helped.
about spinning, because spinning is very often connected with music, when there is a good music, it makes you feel stronger and you really ride the bicycle quickly. What type of music do you like?
Oh, I of course like Latin music. Like I must admit I like reggaeton,
Uh-huh.
and I also yeah, this is something I would turn to at home and just dance. Or I also like good pop music, to be honest. And So yeah, it's I would say I also love hip hop from the 2000s, from the early 2000s. Also Spanish speaking hip hop, female hip
Wow.
hop. Yeah, so I don't have this one. If you look at my Spotify list, you will be like, "Oh my God, this is crazy," but I like it.
I love music. I love music. I worked for years on the radio, and music is a huge part of my life. So I just,
Yeah.
well, any style, I will definitely have a look at your Spotify list to have some inspiration of new tracks. Looking forward. What would be your recommendation for people who are watching this episode to get rid of stress? Yeah, 3 tips.
3 tips to get rid of stress. Um, yeah, again, take the time to really focus on yourself and see, maybe have like a diary, a journal, to reflect during the day what were the situations that stressed me out, to become aware of your stress triggers. Then definitely have time in either in the morning or in the evening to really calm down with yoga or meditation, or reading a book, something like that, to make it a priority, that if you have a calmer mind, that will take you further. And what else? Yeah, find your medicine. Like, as I said, what's your medicine, by the way? Like, when I say my horses and traveling is my medicine, what is yours?
I
Like,
think
where?
I think it's I think well, quick medicine is meditation and music, definitely. That's the quickest, and definitely swimming outside in the nature. It's something I really love, especially in the nature, when there are not so many people. It calms me down. And I was on a business trip a few days ago in Moravia, and there was a huge lake, and I was swimming early every morning at 6 o'clock, at 6 a.m., and evening, like after work, like 8, 9, 10. And and I was told that I'm a mermaid. And it's I really love water, so water is definitely this part. But I think currently I've discovered a few months ago that also, like, practicing sport and stretching is something that I shake off the stress out of my body, because I used to have serious problems with my back. I was not able to bend in the morning when I wanted to wash my face because it was just stuck and painful. So
Mm.
I started to do these exercises and found out that it helps it helps me to feel better, and also my back is healthier, and I don't have these problems anymore, which was really crazy before. It was really so painful. I felt like a really old lady when I in the morning was not able to wash my face because of this pain. So now I
Yeah.
don't have this anymore because of these exercises and these daily rituals which I do every single day. But swimming is something I would like to add into my calendar or schedule, almost like ideally every day.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's so important to find out the tools that work for you, and not what you read in a book or what everybody else does, but what is really good for
Yeah, yeah,
you. I think this is so important to take the time to find out. And yeah, you mentioned the water. I also, the cold shower, an ice cold
yeah.
shower is also good when you're stressed.
I do this as well, and it's so when you have it cold and you are stressed, it definitely gives you a lot of adrenaline, and
Yes.
you stop thinking about that you are stressed or about any situation because it's so cold. I think many
Yes.
Robins, but also many speakers and many coaches and trainers, they say, but first it was Tony Robbins who I heard it from, that when you change your body, well, how you, well, the when you change the body movement, when you started to shake the he
Yeah.
called it differently, but actually this was the idea that when you started to move or do really some movements with your body, the thinking definitely changes because of the inner mechanisms inside of your body, that also it changes your way of thinking. So before, for example, I used to do it almost every day, but when I felt in under pressure after long hours working, I started to jump for, I don't know, whole song, like 2 to 3 minutes, and it made me feel so great. After a few seconds only. So jumping is definitely one of the quickest, definitely cold shower and jumping, I would say, are the quickest ways how to feel
Yeah.
immediately differently.
True. Yeah. Or dancing to a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
song.
yeah, yeah. And
Mm.
a few more questions.
Oh.
What's your favorite dish?
Oh, my favorite dish. I
Yes.
love I love everything potatoes. That's my German side, like fried potatoes, gratin, and I also love everything with corn. That's my Guatemalan side.
Oh, amazing. What are you most proud of in your work or in your life?
Oh, my life. Most proud of in my life. Basically, yeah, that I am what that I did. I am more and more becoming myself again. So yeah, this is what I'm proud of. Yes.
Super. What's the most inspiring motto you heard or you saw somewhere which you apply in your life, like motto or advice, which you like?
Mm-hmm. Good question. There's so many. I just can think right now. I just have this one sentence, but it is what I said in this storytelling event. Be brave enough to be kind, because I realize you never know how the person, the stranger, in with what kind of situation they are in, and if you have a kind word or do something nice, it can really change someone's day. And the more kind people you meet, it can change your life. This is what happened to me in Guatemala. So I would say be brave enough to be kind. It is difficult, especially here in Berlin or in this kind of the Western world, because we're not used to it. And sometimes you get a weird reaction when you do something really kind, or sometimes you're misunderstood. So it does take a bit of courage. But yeah, I would say that would be my recommendation.
Because the time is quick, would you have some message for the viewers who are watching today's episode?
Mm, do what's hard, not what feel. Do what's right, not what's easy. Yeah, that would be my message.
Thank you very much, Steffi, that you were here today. Thank you very much for amazing interview.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. See you
See you
soon.
soon, ladies and gentlemen. This was Stefanie Goertz, life assisted horse coach, project coordinator, and so much more. And thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time, and I wish you a wonderful day. Take care.